The oldest library in Canada is making knowledge more accessible by renovating its current space to modernize and maximize services. The donation tally had a little bit of a jump today with the generosity of 2 local residents.
But when I heard their number, what happened for me was that I could now see the finish line. It's still in the distance, but I can see the finish line. And that's because they have donated $40,000.
Well, today it was just a wonderful day in our fundraising campaign when Liz Surtees and David Murray contributed just slightly over $40,000 to our public campaign. And
what brought on the idea of renovations to the library?
It started actually quite a few years ago. It was time to replace the carpet. And also we didn't meet accessibility standards in terms of the space between the shelves, the pathways. So the board decided to look at the whole space. We also had a computer lab that wasn't used that much anymore. So they thought, this is a real opportunity to look at the space, find out what the community needs, and maybe do something more than just replace the carpet.
What are some of the changes that people will see when they come in here?
One of the first things they'll see is the new style of shelving we're using. It's from a company in the UK called Opening the Book, and they've just come to North America, and it's very innovative, a lot of curved shapes. And what it does is create some unique spaces in the library, but integrating the collection and the seating together. So you don't have shelving here and, say, seating over here, especially in the children's area. And it's completely accessible, so there's a lot of room to move around.
Well, we came here 15 years ago. Loved it. Thought it would be a great community for our retirement. Moved in. Have joined a lot of things in town. We have our own preferences, of course, some of them. One's allowed to do that. But the library is, of course, central to just about everything in town, and that's why we were particularly interested in helping it. And now we're thrilled with the developments which are happening and which we've been able to help.
It's great to be in a community where you can help out. Where does that, that meaning of helping our community grow come from?
Well, probably the fact that certainly in terms of education, we have all both benefited from education. As you could tell from our voices, we had our schooling in England, although we had our education in Canada. And I draw a distinction between schooling and education. We came here because we liked the community. We just happened one day, after a business meeting that ended early in St. Catharines. I came here rather than go home to have lunch, because I knew I'd get a nice lunch here. So I came here and I drove up and down the street, saw a house. 2 days later, we looked at that house, and 2 days after that, we bought the house. And that's the story in relation to this meeting place right here, where we signed the deal to buy the house, and we've never looked back.
A lot of the world's education has gone to multimedia.
Yes.
How do you think the library has been doing with keeping modern at the same time as making sure that it's still, a classic library?
Well, that's a very good question, and we are the first to admit that we're not particularly technically oriented. And the good thing is that because we're not, the people here at the library can help us to untangle things as we get. The beauty of learning is you never stop learning. The more you know, the more you want to know. The deeper you dig, the more more satisfying it is. And this is a great place to do it. This community is at last getting younger. There are young families coming in, people of your sort of age, who have children, and the children are going to the schools, and they need educational resources at their fingertips. And that's what libraries provide, here and elsewhere.
The construction itself starts January 2nd. We are closing down beginning of December to pack everything up. And during that time, we'll have limited service in the cafe right next door in the community center. And then in January 2nd, we'll have even more services in the community center. There's a renovated room beside the Simpson room. So we'll have all the bestsellers and all the new items are going to keep coming in. We're still appealing to the public to help us reach our goal.
As Dave said, we can see the finish line, but more donations are required to finish this renovation. So log on or come on in and help the local community library. In Niagara-on-the-Lake, I'm Kendra Dyer for The Source.